Do you truly understand the line between those who channel reality and those who corrupt it? Between mastery and mere trickery? Brace yourself. Illusions unmasked. What popular culture never told you about mystical power? What if everything you believed about magic was deliberately designed to keep you powerless? Think about every wizard, witch, and sorcerer you've encountered in movies, books, series. Dumbledore versus the Death Eaters. Doctor Strange versus dark dimension entities. Harry Potter versus dark arts practitioners. We've been trained to see this as a battle between good guys and bad guys. Light versus darkness. Hero versus villain. But that's surface level. That's entertainment packaging obscuring an ancient truth that predates cinema by thousands of years. There exists a fundamental division in mystical practice that has nothing to do with moral allegiance and everything to do with operational mechanics. It's not about choosing sides. It's about understanding how consciousness interacts with the fabric of reality itself. A mage doesn't cast spells the way a sorcerer does. Not because one is nicer or more ethical in some vague sense, but because they're operating through completely different frameworks of manifestation. One works with universal laws. The other works against them. One creates sustainable change through resonance. The other forces temporary results through energetic debt. And here's where it gets dangerous. Most people practicing what they call manifestation techniques today are actually engaging in sorcery without realizing it. They're trying to bend reality to their will through sheer force of desire, desperation, or manipulation. They're using law of attraction like a cosmic vending machine, demanding results without understanding the exchange that's taking place. But only this isn't what concerns the elite. What concerns them is that you might actually learn the difference. Because once you understand how true manifestation works, how mages have operated throughout history to shape empires, influence consciousness, and architect reality itself, you become dangerous. Not to them specifically, but to the entire system of control that relies on people remaining energetically incompetent. The texts are clear. Hermetic philosophy, alchemical traditions, Kabbalistic wisdom, Eastern mysticism, they all make the same distinction. They all warn against the path of the sorcerer while illuminating the way of the mage. Yet this knowledge has been systematically diluted, commercialized, turned into fantasy fiction and New Age platitudes. Why? Because understanding this hierarchy means understanding real power. And real power has always been reserved for those willing to do the inner work. So when you see tech billionaires incorporating ancient symbols into their brands, when you notice world leaders using specific gestures during major announcements, when you observe patterns of ritual and timing in global events, you're not seeing coincidence. You're seeing the application of principles that most people think are fictional. You're watching the difference between those who manipulate and those who manifest play out on the world stage. The resonance key. How mages architect reality through alignment. Why do true masters never force outcomes, but somehow always achieve them? Let's dismantle the illusion. A mage doesn't perform magic tricks. He doesn't beg cosmic forces for favors. He doesn't wrestle with reality, trying to make it submit. He understands something most people never grasp. The universe operates on frequency, on vibration, on resonance. Every thought carries a specific electromagnetic signature. Every emotion broadcasts at a measurable wavelength. Every intention emits an energetic pattern. And reality responds to these patterns not because it's conscious in the way we understand consciousness, but because response is built into the fabric of existence itself. Think of it like this: when you tune a guitar string to perfect pitch, and then play that note on a piano across the room, the guitar string vibrates in sympathy, not because the piano forced it, because resonance is law. The mage operates on this principle. He calibrates his internal state, his thoughts, emotions, beliefs, intentions, until they resonate at the exact frequency of what he intends to manifest. And when that resonance is precise, when alignment is complete, manifestation isn't work, it's inevitable. But here's the part that trips everyone up. This calibration requires absolute purity of frequency. You cannot resonate with abundance while vibrating at the frequency of scarcity. You cannot manifest love while broadcasting fear. You cannot attract success while emanating unworthiness. The signal must be clean. And what corrupts the signal? Ego, fear, desperation, greed, attachment to specific outcomes. These create interference patterns that distort the broadcast. So the mage must first become the type of being who naturally resonates with desired realities. This is why every legitimate mystical tradition emphasizes inner development before outer practice. Meditation to quiet mental noise. Study to expand understanding. Emotional purification to remove interference. Consciousness expansion to access broader frequencies. Ethical refinement to ensure clean intention. Because the mage knows something sorcerers refuse to accept. You cannot manifest beyond your level of being. If your consciousness operates at a certain frequency, you can only attract realities that match that frequency. Want different results? Become a different person. This is the secret the elite understand. This is why ancient mystery schools spent years preparing initiates before teaching them technique. Because technique without transformation is just sorcery. And sorcery always extracts its price. The sorcerer's gambit. When power comes at the cost of everything, how does forcing reality create energetic debts that compound like cosmic interest rates? Now, we enter shadow territory. The sorcerer operates from a fundamentally different paradigm. Where the mage seeks resonance, the sorcerer seeks dominance. Where the mage asks, how do I align? The sorcerer demands, how do I control? It's not evil in some cartoonish sense. It's a philosophical stance rooted in separation consciousness. The sorcerer sees himself as separate from the universe, as standing apart from creation, as needing to extract what he wants through force, because he doesn't trust the natural flow to provide. So he learns techniques, rituals, invocations, methods designed to compel energies, bind forces, manipulate outcomes. And these methods work. That's the seductive part. You can absolutely force manifestation through sorcerous means. You can bend probability, violate free will, redirect energetic currents, extract resources that weren't naturally flowing toward you. But and this is critical, you cannot do this without creating imbalance. Every sorcerous act is a withdrawal without deposit. Every forced manifestation is energy borrowed without collateral. Every manipulation is a debt accrued. And the universe keeps perfect accounts. This isn't moral judgment. It's energetic mechanics. Reality seeks equilibrium. When you create disequilibrium through force, reality responds by generating counterforce. Maybe immediately, maybe years later, but always. The sorcerer who forces wealth experiences mysterious financial collapses. The one who binds love finds relationships disintegrating around him. The one who compels power discovers it slipping through his fingers in unexpected ways, but only hears what makes this truly dangerous. Most modern manifestation teaching is actually sorcery dressed in positive language. Just visualize what you want and demand the universe deliver it. That's not manifestation. That's energetic entitlement. Use these techniques to make people do what you want. That's not influence. That's violation of free will. Force your reality to change through sheer willpower. That's not power. That's resistance to what is. And all of it creates debt. If you're starting to see patterns in your own life, places where you've forced instead of flowed, manipulated instead of attracted, demanded instead of aligned, drop the word liberation in the comments. It marks a turning point. And if you're ready to learn the actual principles of manifestation without the debt, subscribe and leave a like. This knowledge separates those who understand power from those who merely chase it. Ancient warnings. What sacred texts reveal about the two paths? Why did every major wisdom tradition draw the exact same line between sacred practice and corruption? Let's go directly to the source material. The distinction between mage and sorcerer isn't modern speculation. It's encoded in humanity's oldest texts. The Corpus Hermeticum, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, distinguishes explicitly between theurgy and goety. Theurgy, from Greek theos, meaning divine, and ergon, meaning work, represents the mage's path. The theurgist invokes higher principles, angelic forces, archetypal energies aligned with cosmic order. His practice elevates consciousness, serves collective evolution, operates in harmony with universal law. Goetie, conversely, involves trafficking with lower entities, material plane spirits, forces that operate through bargain and manipulation. The Goetic practitioner seeks concrete results regardless of spiritual cost. He's willing to trade future well-being for present gain without understanding the compound interest on energetic debt. But that's just hermetic tradition. Medieval grimoires like the Key of Solomon made the same distinction. They separated white books containing divine invocations from black books detailing demonic compacts. The difference wasn't arbitrary morality. It was operational categorization based on the type of forces engaged and the nature of the exchange. Eastern philosophy draws identical lines. The Bhagavad Gita distinguishes between actions performed in dharma alignment with cosmic order and actions performed in adharma violation of that order. Krishna teaches that the true warrior acts without attachment to outcomes, aligned with higher purpose. That's the mage's way. Acting from desire, grasping, manipulation, that's sorcery, regardless of what you call it. Kabbalistic tradition separates Kelipot forces of spiritual pollution and egoic manipulation from the divine emanations of the Tree of Life. Working with divine names in alignment with sacred intention is its theurgy. Inverting those names for selfish gain is Qliphothic sorcery. Indigenous shamanic traditions worldwide maintain the same boundary. The shaman who serves community healing operates as a mage. The brujo who curses enemies for payment operates as a sorcerer. Different cultures, different terminology, identical principle. And this is where everything shifts. When traditions separated by oceans, millennia, and cultural contexts all independently identify the same operational distinction, we're not looking at cultural construction. We're looking at observable truth about how consciousness and energy actually work. We're seeing a universal law that remains constant regardless of who observes it. Beyond technique, why true mastery requires becoming rather than doing. What if the only way to access real power is to stop trying to have it? Here's the final truth that destroys most people's manifestation practice. Sorcery is rooted in fear. The sorcerer forces because he doesn't trust. He manipulates because he feels powerless. He extracts because he believes in scarcity. His entire approach broadcasts one frequency: separation. Separation from source, from abundance, from the natural flow. And that separation is precisely what blocks genuine manifestation. You cannot attract wholeness while vibrating fragmentation. You cannot manifest abundance while resonating lack. You cannot draw power while broadcasting weakness. The frequency mismatch prevents connection. So the sorcerer works harder, uses more complex techniques, performs more elaborate rituals, invokes stronger forces, and achieves diminishing returns while accumulating exponential debt. It's unsustainable by design, because he's trying to compensate for inner disconnection through outer manipulation. He's attempting to fill an internal void with external acquisitions, and it never works. Not permanently. The mage understands something the sorcerer refuses to accept. You don't need to force what you naturally are. When your consciousness genuinely resonates with abundance, abundance flows to you. When your being embodies love, love surrounds you. When your frequency matches power, power expresses through you. Not because you manipulated reality, because you became the kind of reality that naturally attracts those experiences. This is the hardest teaching to accept because it demands everything while promising nothing. It requires you to release control, to trust process, to do the unglamorous inner work without guarantee of external reward, to become before you receive. Most people can't do it. They want the shortcuts, the techniques, the secrets, the rituals that promise results without transformation. But that's sorcery, and sorcery always costs more than it delivers. So here's your choice. Not a one-time decision, but a moment-by-moment practice. Will you force or flow? Manipulate or resonate? Be a sorcerer or a mage? Your answer determines not just what manifests in your life, but who you become in the process. And ultimately, who you become is the only thing that matters. If this shifted something fundamental in your understanding, if you feel called toward genuine mastery, drop resonance in the comments. That word carries frequency. Subscribe, hit notifications, leave your like. And if others need to hear this truth, share it with awakening. Real knowledge has always spread through those ready to receive it. Maybe you're the next link in that ancient chain.